Hello, I am the DM, and welcome to my corner. The last video garnered a lot of attention, of which I sort of expected, despite my small size. But what I didn't expect were how many comments that I had received, let alone how many were actually asking for follow-up videos to this. So, here it is. I'm going to make a response video for every single comment that is on my last video to the date of this recording, April 19th, 2022. Before we get into it, however, I would like to pose a question for you all to think about over the course of this video. What is Earth 2? The first comment comes from Chris Schaefer, who says, "A new member of the Shadow Council has emerged. Curse you and your cabal of miscreants using things like logic of standard practices to thwart scams." Oh, never mind. Please carry on. Shadow Cabal? What is this Shadow Cabal? I've never heard of any Shadow Cabal. You're clearly crazy in imagining things. Our next comment comes from Fugoro Geek, who says, "I don't know if this project is a scam or not. Their new demo that I released yesterday is better than the demo Callum Upton reacted to and made the challenge for. The demo is on the Earth 2 YouTube official, not on the Shane Isaac YouTube. Good analysis, good video." Now, at the time of this recording, it is a few days after this comment was posted, so I'm not entirely sure as to the exact footage they're referring to, although I'm going to assume that they're referring to the drone footage that was uploaded. Contextually speaking, you are not wrong. The drone footage, however, that they showed is actually from a game called Drone the Game. Earth 2 recently acquired Drone the Game, their tech and their developer team, which is stated at the top of the description of their video. He also gives us a second comment stating, "If you want to look at a much more massive world than Daggerfall or Breath of the Wild, the game Stardust Citizen has a very high detailed world in a 64-bit engine. For now, there are 4 planets, around 12 moons. Every planet has big cities with some landing zones that have interiors and big ships with interiors, 50 people a server, and the game has no loading once you're in the game." This is certainly true. However, I was going for a more contextual size overall. While yes, Star Citizen has several planets and several moons, if we're going by that metric, then we would have to go by the No Man's Sky, as that has a nearly infinite amount more than that. However, I was trying to keep this relatively scaled to Earth, as that is what Earth 2 is supposed to be scaled to. However, realistically, something even bigger than Daggerfall, and there is something that is even bigger than Daggerfall, and that is Minecraft, whose world clocks in at 1.5 billion square miles, compared to Earth, which only has 197 million square miles. Our next comment comes from Yui Kazumoto, who says, "Earth 2 actually has gameplay, but has no gameplay that looks good enough yet. Drone / a newer version of Drone. You can view this in one of their newer videos." I'm assuming you mean the drone footage that they uploaded recently, which, as I stated previously, is from Drone the Game, which is a separate game which Earth 2 only recently acquired. Our next comment comes from Lord Hitman, who says, "It's like making a foundation for a house without even making a blueprint for the first floor, and without knowing if you're going to have a second floor and or a basement." And as someone who went to Job Corps and does have a degree, or is certified rather, as a carpenter, I can say from a knowledge standpoint that this is pretty true. You basically need a foundation before you can start anything for a house, and that foundation starts with a blueprint. That blueprint, of course, would be the pre-production. Funnily enough, I did go to Job Corps for carpentry, so I am actually a certified carpenter. So this comment, I can say with a bit of knowledge, is quite accurate. You can't start a house without a foundation, because without a foundation, the project can't be stable. Up next, apparently the world of Pokemon is getting involved. Please don't sue Nintendo, because the real Professor Oak commented saying it's a platform like Meta. And you're right, and you're wrong. The project itself is a metaverse. It's not a game necessarily, and it's not a social media, which is different. Next comment we have is Joe, who says game development takes years, and that GTA 6 has been in development since 2015 and still doesn't have a release date, so we can't expect a project of this magnitude getting estimates no one in the industry has. Now, the entire thread that is in this comment is actually an interesting back and forth between two people, Chris and Joe. And both are quite right in their own assertions. Yes, GTA 6 has been in production since 2015. However, the scale and scope of the GTA series and Earth 2, as mentioned previously, is vastly different. Earth 2 wants to be a metaverse, whereas Grand Theft Auto does not. As Chris mentions, you can't really compare the two because Rockstar Games, as well as the fact that Rockstar Games have developers and experience as well as years of prestige within the gaming industry that allows them to do what they do. They also have to get contracts with big names to get voice actors for their game to do dialogue, and that alone takes a lot of time as well. Now, typically, it takes, on average, for a big budget AAA game to be developed around 3 to 5 years, so there are some exceptions. And of course, 16 months is hardly over a year, so we can't rightfully expect to see high quality or high budget in pretty much anything right now, if this were a game. However, as I made clear in my previous video, and that Shane himself has made clear through the Earth 2 website, Earth 2 is not a game, it is a metaverse. I have some more feelings on this, but we'll get to that later in the video. Click Boom Studios would like to know if I would be up to a conversation or debate about Earth 2 in a live stream. My response is absolutely. I would absolutely be up for it. I know I did comment, but just let me know if you see this video, whenever you want to do it. If you want to shoot me a message, I will have my email down in the description, so you can go ahead and send me an email, or we can try and get in touch on Discord, however you prefer. Yeah, just let me know. I'm totally up for it. 5% Tent says that you don't have much content, but if you do drop another video on any topic, I'm here for it. Best of luck with your degree. Look forward to seeing your name in bold on a credits page or article. First off, thank you for the luck. I'm certainly going to need it. And though I'm not entirely sure about the content and the future of this channel necessarily, this has sort of been a channel for my archival purposes and school purposes and the like, and just kind of videos that I want to upload. So I might keep posting. We'll see. If it is, it'll likely be about topics similar to this one, or around gaming in general. The next comment that we have comes from Daryl, who says that Overwatch isn't an Earth-sized metaverse. And you know what? You're absolutely right. It isn't. But neither is Breath of the Wild or Daggerfall for that matter. Yet both are enormous worlds that had development cycles of a proper game, and even though the technology of the time was factually worse than it is today, it was Daggerfall was still made in 3 years and had a pretty massive world that you could freely explore. But fair enough. They aren't Earth-sized metaverses, so I would like to introduce you to Core. Now, Core is a massively multiplayer online game. However, just like Earth 2, it has other games inside of it. Games that are made by other players within that game. It also has the ability to make money, real money, from the game by selling assets that you make in the game. You can customize your character to look however you want. You can be whoever you want. For all intents and purposes, it does exactly what Earth 2 is claiming. The only difference, though, is that in Core, you don't have to buy anything to participate, to earn money. There's another game that lets you do this as well, but we'll get back to that. Odd Hack Welder comments, I appreciate your video. I learned a few things. There's one key thing you don't understand. Earth 2 is not a game. It's a gaming platform. Think of it like a mall. People are buying and creating stores in the mall. Drone is one game they acquired to exist in Earth 2. There's also gameplay right now, but not video gameplay. It's more of an economic simulation board game. I'm a board game designer for over 10 years, and I get what he's trying to do. So do 100,000 plus users. Maybe 50K on top of that if that are in it for investment, which is fine. He also recommends I do a little more research and watch the latest terrain video. Well, I'll address that second point first. I've done all of my research. From both my side, from the opposing side, and the other opposing side. I've seen it from all three angles. From the Earth 2 angle, from all of the critics of Earth 2, to the person who has literally no investment in this entire thing. Me. I gain nothing from any of this. I don't care how big this channel grows. I'm not in it for the views. I can't monetize these videos. If this channel grows to be hundreds of thousands of subs, cool, great, fantastic. But I don't have an intent or specific thing for this channel. This channel is just for videos that I want to upload, videos I want to archive. That's what this channel is for. My view is completely unbiased because I hold no stake in this entire endeavor. Now, addressing that terrain video. No, that's not Earth 2. That's not theirs. It's not. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's actually from a pack called Mega Mountain Pack that's on the Unity Asset Store. And it was made by someone who Earth 2 then hired. And all of that footage is literally the footage from the Mega Mountain Pack video on the Unity Asset Store. They just re-uploaded it and said it's theirs. Because they hired the guy that made it. Same thing for the drone, the video game. All of the tech for it, all of the developers, all of it was just acquired. They didn't make any of it. Now, secondly, I understand very clearly that this isn't a video game. As I went over in my previous video game, nothing about this project follows the game industry standard pipeline which has been established because of how efficient it is. I understand on a very fundamental level how far disconnected from an actual game this project truly is. The issue with this project is they aren't producing any verifiable assets that provide a tangible benefit to gamers. As I mentioned before, Core is doing what Earth 2 wants to do, except you don't have to buy into the system to earn anything from it. Additionally, I think it's about time that we use the standard definition of what defines something as a game, a video game, and a board game. And for note, all of these definitions come from the Oxford Dictionary. So if you want to argue with me on definitions, take it up with them. Game. Quote, an activity that you do to have fun, often one that has rules and that you can win or lose. End quote. Board game. Quote, any game played on a board, often using dice and small pieces that are moved around. End quote. Video game. Quote, a computer-based game involving a single player or any number of players. End quote. What Shane Isaac has at the moment for his project, Earth 2, is a browser-based map grid where you can buy tiles and sometimes click them to get some resources that don't let you do anything as of this moment. By the very definition of what a video game is, it isn't a video game. By the very definition of what a board game is, it isn't a board game, electronic or otherwise. And by the very definition of what a game is, it isn't a game either, as it has no success or failure state, and there is no fun to be gained from simply clicking a tile to get some resources that you can't do anything with. And for the record, I never called Earth 2 a game. What I did was use my knowledge of what a game is and the gaming development pipeline to show everyone that he isn't making a game, nor is he trying to make a game, which has been public information on the very Earth 2 website. Now, I'm not saying that everyone or even that a whole bunch of people are saying it's a game. However, there are people out there making this claim, and it is simply wrong. I've played games since the NES. I know what exactly a game is, and I know exactly what a game isn't. I've played board games on tabletop and electronically. I'm legitimately studying to become a game designer. So please do not ever think or suggest that I don't understand what makes something a game or what makes a game good. As commenter Mushy puts it, I'm pulling his gamer card. He said when the camera zoomed in on Zelda, Zelda is the princess, the character is named Link. Bruh. I couldn't agree more. However, that isn't the end. Odd Hawkweller does have another comment. He says it is the most ambitious because of how it relates to the actual world with VR and AR technologies. This has never been done before. Do you realize there are over 300 megacities? These are all like new worlds to explore. Maybe you will get it, maybe you won't. Here's my response to that. Planet VR, 2-Bit Circus, Virtual Reality Park, Tokyo Joyopolis, Galactica, X-Cube, every single AR and VR game that exists today. You know what all of the first ones have in common? They're all real-life virtual amusement parks. Virtual reality amusement parks that you can go to today, right now. They exist. And they're virtual reality that interacts with the real world in a physical and tangible way. So yes, it has been done before, and it has been done better with existing technologies. However, none of that matters because it doesn't integrate VR or AR technologies, and it has no intention to. It is a metaverse, not a virtual reality. A metaverse is a shared virtual world. A virtual reality is somewhere where you can go, do, and be whatever, whoever, and wherever you want. Earth 2 is one planet. This is all on top of the aforementioned examples in this video, such as Core. It isn't the most ambitious. It's far from it. Jay Regan comments quite a bit. He knows quite a bit, and he did have quite a bit of clarifications to make. He says that they do have a roadmap, that 3D assets are being built, but they can't do so without 3D terrain. and that 3D Terrain is required because players have already purchased it, and that platform will already have completed games integrated into the platform. He also says that it's being developed as an eco-sim based on real-world resources. And he concludes by saying that you wouldn't start to build a game on a platform if you didn't know the capabilities of that platform. Well, Jay, if you're watching, thank you first and foremost for commenting. I enjoyed your comment quite a bit, and it did give me some insight into some things. I've also already seen the video you linked, and as previously mentioned, it is just a video from a developer that they happen to now have that created the tech. It isn't actually theirs. However, getting to the rest of your comment, they have some rough roadmap ideas. As you can see here, where they admit to, that they only have a rough idea, this article only dates back to 2021. I tried to find any kind of official roadmap on any official sites, but I could not. Next, you say that they have built 3D assets, yet we have none to be seen. Aside from the one truck video and the drone video, which isn't theirs, as has been proven, they haven't given us anything in terms of actual 3D assets, and terrain doesn't count. Speaking of terrain, however, you say that it is required before they can do 3D assets. That is not true. Not at all. 3D assets and level design are all done almost simultaneously under production. It's the most fastest and most efficient way to do it, as I've said before. The idea that it would be impossible to do any of the terrain without, or to do any of the assets without the terrain is actually ludicrous. Because even if they started all of the production with the terrain and with the level design, how are you going to make those levels if you have no assets? How is he going to make the cities if he doesn't have the assets for it? In order for a game to be able to show you something, in order for a program, in order for your computer to render something like a building, VR or not, it has to have an object associated with it. It's how it works. As this is not something where you can just go out into the streets, put on the VR headset, and walk around, because you can't just instantly teleport in real life. This can't be done. As for the purchase aspect of the land, none of their simulation is 3D yet. All of it is a flat 2D plane that has a map of the Earth drawn over it, with just some grid lines. So no, again, the terrain does not need to be done first. It is not required to be done before anything else. Lastly, you call it an eco-sim. Now we all know what this is also called. Say it with me. Business simulator or a tycoon game. Everyone knows what a tycoon game is. Everyone who grew up in the 90s knows what a tycoon game is. However, even if it were one of those traditional kind of games, which again is not even a game, all of the assets are produced at the same time. Next up we have Robert, who actually has 2 comments. The first of which asks that if I were going to incorporate drone into Earth 2, wouldn't you have to do it as early as possible? And my response is yes and no. Technically speaking, the earlier you implement it into the code, as it were, the better, because with less code you can find the bugs a lot easier and a lot faster, and there will just be less bugs in general. Now, given that Drone the Game is a fully completed game, its code likely has, and says hopefully, as few bugs as possible, if none at all. Unlikely, but that would be the hope. However, just because it's a completed game, and even if we were to give it no bugs at all, it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't have any bugs when they try to combine the code of it with the code of Earth 2. I'm not a coder, and I've never been taught anything about code officially, mind you. However, the way I understand code working, this isn't necessarily a simple thing. So, now, Robert's second code is asking why they're using Mapbox if Google Maps is open source. My response is the most likely reason is because of customization. Mapbox supports a much stronger variety of customization than Google Maps does. For instance, Google Mapping forces you to use just a single layer, whereas Mapbox lets you use multiple layers. However, my primary point here is that what he said they're doing isn't new or innovative or surprising. It's something that's widely available and has been for decades. Michael Brisson comments, 1, magnificent beard, thank you. 2, great display of actual knowledge on the subject. I'm sure this even helps you on your studies to analyze the stuff. And 3, subbed. Well, Well, Michael, 1, thank you. As you can see, I did trim it recently, but it is growing back rather swiftly. 2, this does help me with my own sort of knowledge about the stuff. I enjoy doing research on game development and sort of the aspects of it and everything that can go into it. I am, as I've always said, a man of science, facts, and logic, so I analyze everything from an unbiased perspective. That's the only way I have found to gain the actual truth of the matter. So there's that. And as for your third, thank you. Next up, we have Trans Girl Gamer, who says that you should look up Crystal Crave on Second Life. It's a game in a metaverse where you collect crystals for actual game money. Looks like Second Life beat Earth 2 to the punch. Well, I did. I looked up Crystal Crave, and so Second Life is a game that came out in 2003. And it lets its residents, as they are called, make clothing and build other virtual objects to sell for Linden dollars. And then they can use those Linden dollars to purchase other virtual assets, or they can trade around 270 Linden for $1 US. Crystal Craze allows you to collect crystals and earn Linden dollars for it. So I would say yes, it is a metaverse with games already inside it that let you earn money. Matt G comes at us with a long comment saying, "You made some good points, but you are following a lot of false info from other content creators. You're saying stuff that has only come from them, I'm afraid. It's not a scam, it's just very ambitious long-term goals. It will be various play-to-earn games, blockchain crypto related. It's a metaverse project, so you will always get people who are in it for the long term for a VR version, and owning land generates you crypto, so you will get people only in it for money. Not sure about comparing time frames of things with very different targets." So there's a lot of issues to unpack with this. Okay, here's the issue with basically everything you just said. One, there's no VR assets of any kind, and nor has there ever been stated that there will be VR assets of any kind for this. Two, cryptocurrency has been proven time and time again to be primarily just used by people who want to commit fraud and scam people. If you don't believe me, just look up the recent couple who tried to steal $4.5 billion in cryptocurrency and got caught by the FBI. Cryptocurrency also isn't anything new, it's not special, it's not innovative, and it isn't anything that will go on very much longer before being smacked down with regulations to prevent fraud and scams. And then they'll just move on to find some new way to try and scam you. And three, I've already mentioned numerous games that allow you to play them and earn money legally that already exist, using technologies that already exist. Like, this isn't anything new. And even if Earth 2 was fully VR, even if it was, you could make Core VR with just a bit of extra code. Epic Games hasn't done it, but they could do it. They could do it very easily. It's not that hard. Not really, not in the grand scheme of things. Not for a AAA company like Core or like Epic Games. So, and lastly, all the information that I give is from sources that I actually trust. I don't just blindly follow a single source like most people do. I look at numerous sources, including, more often than not, sources from the other side, before I honestly make any kind of personal verdict on how I stand. And by the way, I stand on side me, not side you, Earth 2, or anyone else. I make up my own verdict in my own mind based off everything that I can find that's publicly available. If it's not publicly available, it doesn't get factored in. End of story. Neil Flynn says, this game is how much money can people give Shane before he disappears? Now, I can't say too much on this end, since it does at least appear that he's trying to do something. But this is starting to just honestly look like another Star Citizen. And lastly, Nimois, that's what it is, comments, just stumbled upon the whole drama around Earth 2 today and followed up until this point. Appreciate your point of view on this, especially while being involved in the essentials of game development yourself. Don't know about your plans regarding this channel, but hopefully it will go according to your thoughts. Left a like and subscribed in addition to this comment to help growth improvements. All the best to you. Firstly, I want to thank you for the support. As a channel, as I said before, it's primarily just for me to post things to save for archival purposes, or things that I want to share on the internet. Given the feedback for the last video, it's encouraging me, at the very least, to maybe do follow-up videos on this topic if I see something interesting that I feel I need to share my view on. But we'll see. Anyway, with that being said, that is all of the comments that I have at the moment. Thank you all for watching. I know this has probably been a long one. The script certainly is. And I hope that you all found it at least a little bit enlightening. As I said before, I have no personal stake in this, honestly. I'm looking at this from a completely outside perspective, and I've honestly got no reason to fear any kind of repercussions from anyone. I speak openly and honestly, and I will call things out truthfully. So, with all that being said, thank you for coming to my corner, and be wary of the dragons on your way out.